Welcome back to Political Pisstakes UK, the only place where British politics is roasted harder than a Sunday chicken. This week, Starmer wants to microchip you like a Labrador. Labour are fighting like EastEnders extras. China is building a spy palace in the middle of London. Donald Trump is trolling Sadiq Khan, and Tommy Robinson pulled more people to a rally than Starmer pulls voters to the ballot box. Grab your pint, your sense of humour, and maybe your passport, because you might need it if Starmer gets his digital ID plan through. Let's start with Starmer's genius idea: compulsory digital ID cards. Yes, the man who can barely remember his own policies wants you carrying around a government QR code. You'll need it to work, rent, probably to use the toilets at Victoria Station. They call it the Brit card, which sounds like a Boots loyalty card, except instead of points, you get surveillance. Congratulations, Britain, you're about to become a nightclub bouncer's dream. No ID, no entry, not to the pub, not to the GP, not to the job centre. And of course, who else has been pushing digital ID systems? The World Economic Forum, that's right, Davos. The people who think you'll own nothing and eat bugs, well now, you'll also scan a chip to prove you're allowed to do it. Remember when Starmer basically admitted WEF policies come before Britain's? Well, here we are. Digital ID is the WEF starter pack. They call it modernisation. I call it papers, please. Don't worry though, if hackers steal your data, at least they'll know you've got 3 unpaid library fines and a Greg's loyalty balance. Then we've got Labour tearing itself apart. Andy Burnham says tax the rich, nationalise stuff, tell the city to get stuffed. Basically, Jeremy Corbyn with better hair gel. Starmer, on the other hand, is desperate to reassure bankers he's safe, because nothing screams working-class champion like bowing down to Goldman Sachs. Labour these days is like watching a family argument at Christmas. Starmer's the boring uncle who wants everyone to behave. Burnham's the cousin who's just discovered socialism on TikTok. And West Streeting, no one knows, he's just there for the buffet. At this rate, the only thing Labour agree on is that Jeremy Corbyn must never, ever be invited back. Next, the UK has formally recognised Palestine. Starmer says it's about moral responsibility. Critics say it's about rewarding Hamas. Recognising Palestine is like recognising your neighbour's imaginary friend. Doesn't mean they suddenly exist as a functioning state. But here's the problem. Symbolism matters. And in the middle of terror attacks, massacres and Iran stirring the pot, this is more than a gesture. It's a political earthquake. Britain had a hand in drawing those borders. Now we're shifting policy with no guarantee it won't embolden extremists. On the bright side, at least Starmer finally managed to make a decision. Shame it was the wrong one. China wants to build a super embassy right by the Tower of London. 225 flats, cultural centres, basically a spy base with better interior design. Locals said no. Starmer's government, yes please Xi Jinping, do what you like. Imagine being so weak you let a foreign dictatorship build an espionage fortress next to your financial district. Even France would laugh at us. Don't worry though, the embassy will probably come with a TikTok dance class. Today's move, the Hong Kong handover shuffle. MI5 is now training MPs on how not to be spied on, because apparently our lawmakers don't know how to set a password stronger than 1234. We are literally governed by people who'd fall for an email titled "Prince of Nigeria wants to give you £10 million." Somewhere in Russia, there's a bloke whose job is just guessing whether Nadine Dorries' password is wine o'clock or I love Boris 69. Donald Trump popped up at the UN to warn London could fall under Sharia law. Starmer called it nonsense. Sadiq Khan nearly pulled a muscle rolling his eyes. Now, is Trump exaggerating? Absolutely, but let's be honest. When parts of London have more halal butchers than post offices, you can see why people abroad might wonder. Either way, the only law London actually enforces strictly is last orders at 11 p.m. Tommy Robinson held a massive anti-immigration march in London. Somewhere between 110,000 and 150,000 people turned up. That's more than most political parties can dream of. Elon Musk even dialed in, saying Parliament should be dissolved, because apparently British politics now takes instructions from billionaires in cowboy hats. The media, of course, called it far right, which is code for a lot of ordinary people we'd rather ignore. If this many people are angry about immigration, maybe, just maybe, it's time the politicians stopped pretending it's a fringe issue. So let's tie this together. Digital IDs, straight out of WTF playbooks. Open borders chaos also fits their global citizen dream. China building spy bases in London, exactly what happens when globalism trumps patriotism. Britain's become that kid in school who copies everyone's homework. Except our homework is written by Klaus Schwab in a Bond villain accent. This isn't about conspiracies, it's about sovereignty. Either our leaders govern for Britain or they govern for Davos. And right now I think we all know the answer. It's So this week we've had Starmer's Brit card, Labour's civil war, Palestine recognition, China's spy tower, MI5 teaching MPs how not to be idiots, Trump trolling London, and Tommy Robinson drawing crowds the Tories can only dream of. Britain isn't a country right now, it's a circus, and unfortunately, Starmer's the ringmaster. That's it for this week's Political Pisstakes UK. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button, share it with your mates, and drop a comment. Should we all get Brit cards, or should we bin them and bring back common sense instead? Until next time, keep your sarcasm sharp, your freedoms close, and your bug rations firmly in the bin. Credits. Written and narrated by Political Pisstakes UK.